There is a score given for critical reading, mathematics, and writing skills. An average score in each of these sections would be between a 47 and a 49. However, your scores can range anywhere from a 20 to an 80, and an 80 would be a perfect score. I don't want you to get too hung up on your scores themselves, because what's more important is that you use your score report as a tool to help you prepare for the SAT. You will find below the actual score a graph, and on the graph it will give you a percentile. The percentile is just to help you get a sense of how you're comparing to other juniors who took this test nationally. Down below in the blue box, that is the National Merit Scholarship Program. How they determine if you qualify is they add up all three of your scores at the top, and you will find that you will have a selection index number. 1.5 million juniors take the PSAT. Only about 55,000 will move forward into the National Merit Program. So we're talking about the top 1 to 2% of students who take the PSAT. If you happen to be one of the lucky ones who do move forward, you will be notified in September of your senior year, and there will be a process that you will need to follow up with on that. This is where I think the most valuable part of the score report comes in, and that's your score, your skill areas. Now, the PSAT measures certain skills that they feel are valuable for students to be successful in college, and the same thing with the SAT. So what it does is it breaks down the certain skill areas that they feel are important for you to know in order to be successful. So as you're looking through this, you can see they've broken it down by each of those skill areas, which questions you answered correctly and which ones you missed. So again, using this as a valuable tool to study for the SAT, you want to go through and figure out which areas am I weaker in, and those are the areas you want to focus in on. What I'd like for all of you to do is to go through and identify those questions that you missed, use your test booklet to figure out why, and go back through and fix those, okay? Now, additionally, what you can do, and this is pretty neat, I think, is you can go online. You can go to the collegeboard.com/quickstart website, and it's all going to be on your score report, the website. And each of you have your own unique access code, okay? And that access code will, once you log in, you'll have a study plan developed specifically for you based on your PSAT results. So if you're weak in a certain area, that study plan will help improve upon those specific areas. When you log in and you put in your little access code, it will give you a predicted SAT score. So you kind of get a sense of how you're going to do when you take the SAT. And as you start researching colleges, what you want to do is look and see what is the average SAT of the student that's admitted to the college that I'm looking at, to figure out where you stand and do I need to work on improving your scores. If you haven't yet registered, I want to go over the process with you. Keep in mind, we have a limited number of test centers here in Bakersfield, and they fill up very quickly. So just because Garces, we will be offering the SAT in March, May, and June. And in fact, from what I understand, we're already full for the March SAT. So unfortunately, just because you're a Garces student does not give you priority in getting into this test center. It goes by first come, first serve. So the earlier you register to take the test, the more likely you will get registered at our center. The website is sat.org/register. I did email all of you yesterday and provided the link for the registration. Hopefully all of you received that. Like I said, there's a March 9th SAT, May 4th, and June 1st. And all three of those tests will be offered here at Garces. However, you won't be able to register here for the March test, but May and June were still open, so as of today, but we could close tomorrow, I don't know. So I would register now. They are requiring all students now to upload a photo ID. And there are certain guidelines on what is acceptable and what is not. You can see here these two are not acceptable. One of the pictures is because it's really dark and you can't really see him. The other one is because there's multiple people in the picture. It has to be only your bright and smiley face. It has to be clear so they can see it. What you have to do, once you upload your picture, you have to print out your admission ticket and bring it with you on the day of the test. Okay? The other thing, and this is really important, when you test, you have to bring a valid photo ID with you. Okay? And that could be a student ID or a driver's license. But it cannot be a student ID from last year. It has to be a current ID from this school year or a driver's license. And if you forget your ID, even if you come to Garces and I recognize and I know that's Stephen, unfortunately, if he doesn't bring his driver's license or his student ID, I cannot let him test. Okay? And I probably turn away about from 3 to 5 students every test date because they forget to bring their ID. Okay, so you make sure you bring your admission ticket with your ID and with your picture and a valid ID with you to test. Okay? Because once they turn you away, that's it. They cannot admit you, and then you have to wait either for the next test date. And remember, they don't offer them all the time. There's only 3 more tests this year: March, May, and June for the SAT. So once you miss, that's it. And then they don't offer any in the summer. The next available SAT will be in September. So make sure that you register now. Reserve your spot here at Garces, and make sure you bring your acceptable IDs. The ACT is a little bit different in terms of the way it's structured and what it measures, but 100% of colleges will look at either the ACT or the SAT. They do not have a preference for those tests. They're both college entrance tests. And about half of the students will perform better on the ACT, half will do better on the SAT, and so we encourage you to take both and see which test you perform better on, and then that would be the test that you can use when you apply to colleges. The ACT is a little different website. It's actstudent.org, actstudent.org/start, and you can register. The next test offered at Garces is in April, and then there will be one in June. And again, it's a pretty popular test, so we do fill up quickly, so I would encourage you all to register for that soon and reserve your spot here at Garces.
What's the difference between the ACT and the SAT, like subject-wise?
Subject-wise, there are 5 different tests on the ACT versus the SAT. There's 3. The 3 that we talked about, there's critical reading, mathematics, and writing skills on the SAT. On the ACT, there's a reading test, an English test, a math test, a science test, and a writing test. The science is more on how you can analyze and interpret information. So it's not specifically like on chemistry or biology so much as it is understanding and being able to read graphs and charts and those sorts of things. But you can practice beforehand too. They have some free resources you can go online. I think if you prepare in advance, you should all do fine on the science part. ACT is more of a curriculum-based test. So the test is designed more like a test that you actually take at school versus the SAT. It's more of a reasoning test, so the questions aren't as straightforward as on the ACT. Okay, and the scoring is different. ACT, they don't penalize you for guessing. So if you answer something and it's wrong, they don't take anything away from you. Whereas remember with the SAT, they will do that. After you take the test, you want to go back and review and prepare for the next one. Because chances are if you don't, then your scores probably won't improve very much. But yes, you can take it multiple times. In fact, most students will take it 2 to 3 times.